I know. Good evening, all of you Minties, and welcome back to Old Reader, New Reader. This is the long-awaited Spider-Man episode of Kraven's Last Hunt. You have me, one of the new readers, Amanda. You have my other fellow new reader, Maddie. Oh, hold on. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. My stuff started playing. And then we also have our old reader, Omar. So say hi, Omar. So today we are talking about Kraven's Last Hunt. I have it in the Epic Collection, and if you guys don't have the Epic Collection and you can get it, I highly recommend it because there are some fantastic stories in here, like some Spidey and Wolverine stories that are fantastic. Time travel and with Iron Man. So this is definitely something to get if you don't already have it. And I guess we can just dive on in what Kraven's all about. So for those of you guys who are familiar or not familiar, and we will be doing spoilers, guys, just so you know, because we're talking about the whole arc and everything. This is during Spider-Man's black suit saga, I guess, when he gets the black suit, his dark period, if you will. And Kraven is I believe he's Russian, or he is some Eastern European descent. He is a hunter of all great animals, and Spider-Man has been always the one that has gotten away. And I think that's a big theme that runs throughout this. We'll talk about that too, about the idea of Spider-Man being more beast than man in Kraven's eyes. So it's let's go ahead and get started. So it kind of starts out with the first part of it is called the coffin for good reason. So Kraven, we are kind of introduced to his character. He is going through some kind of drug-induced metamorphosis. He's preparing himself for his last standoff, his last fight with Spider-Man, or so he says, where he's finally going to defeat his ultimate foe, if you will. And there's a lot of great shots of him getting ready, and he has a coffin, and he has a Spider-Man suit for some reason, and he's going to pretty much fight Spider-Man. And in the meantime, Spider-Man is out. He has his spider senses are tingling. He's having this weird feeling. So he goes out pretty much looking for whatever it is giving him this weird feeling. And it turns out to be Kraven, who is hunting him. And pretty much they have a fight, and Kraven seemingly kills Spider-Man and takes him to be buried in a coffin. But we find out later that may not have been the case. And so, and by the way, this is written by J.M. Matisse. Matisse. Yeah. DeMatteis. Sorry, DeMatteis. Yes.
I got that one, Philip.
Yep. And Mike Zeck is the artist on it. Rick Parker is the letterer. And I think all that's very important because there's a lot of great things.
Bob McLeod is the inker. Mike Zeck is the artist that did Secret Wars and that amazing Punisher covers and the Wolverine Captain America cover from the 80s. It's also important to note that this is right after Spider-Man's marriage. Like, literally the story takes place right after Spider-Man got married.
Yes, and that's actually in the Epic Collection too, so you actually get to see the marriage between him and MJ. That is who he marries in this one. So you have... Okay, 1 second. Sorry. So you have the wedding of Peter and MJ, which is pretty much what precedes this. So you have this, intense fight between them, and he ends up killing Spider-Man. And then he takes on Spider-Man's persona. And I think that's very important in this story because this story is a lot about when you put on a suit or when you put on a suit and how it means to different people and what it means to be that person when you put on a different outfit. So you have also the same story is kind of running parallel is a villain called Vermin, who's pretty much the perfect mixture of man and beast, I guess, if you will, or maybe too perfect of mixture of man and beast. So he's half rat, half man, and he's pretty much a cannibal because he goes and he basically, there's a lot of great thriller scenes. And this is very much a psychological thriller of him taking women and from the gutters on the streets of New York City And we don't ever see them eat him, but you can get the idea that he's a cannibal, and yes, he's going to eat these people. And it's fascinating because it's wonderful just to see Vermin and how he operates. And you also have Mary Jane, or MJ, who is wondering where Peter's been. So obviously we know he's in a coffin. He's been buried, maybe dead, maybe alive. And you have MJ wondering where he is. And she kind of takes it upon herself to try to go and look for Peter. So you have that story. At the same time, you have Kraven trying to become Spider-Man. He puts on the outfit. He goes through another one of those psychological trances with all these spiders, or maybe it's in his mind because of the drugs, where he's pretty much thinks he has to be taken over, right, to become the beast, become the spider. And for him, that is pretty much what he entails. And then I'll have Maddie take over really quickly for me.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. All right. So coming back in. So basically around this point, we have Kraven masquerading as Spider-Man for about those 2 weeks while he's gone. And during that moment as well, or around that time, Peter does wake up. Basically, he's still hallucinating ever since he's had that dart sent, into him from Kraven. And we have a situation where, Peter gets out and he goes after MJ to kind of see her first. Obviously, she got married. That's his first thought. That's where he's going first. And then, of course, eventually running into Kraven. He knows that he has to go get Kraven. He's got to change things because this man is masquerading as him. And when we get to Kraven, we also see that since he's captured Vermin, almost as like a way to... He's trying to prove to himself and Spider-Man and everyone else that he's a better Spider-Man, right? Because he knows that Spider-Man, when he fought Vermin for the first time, was not able to win without the help of Captain America. So by him attacking Vermin, of course, and capturing Vermin, it's like, this is me. I've proven that I am a better Spider-Man than Spider-Man. And that is what the whole point of this is.
Yeah, it's like an ultimate beast hunt for him.
Yeah.
That's where Vermin first showed up, was Captain America, and then he shows up in here. Also, he was also created by J.M. DeMatteis. I love. Did we all mention the Tiger poem by William Blake?
William Blake.
Jump in with it. Talk about it.
Well, I was going to say, I've always loved that, even as a kid. So, as a kid, because I was an ignorant child, I thought that was the poem. I didn't know that they had switched the name from Tiger to Spider.
Oh gosh.
So it wasn't until I was in high school and I made a fool of myself that I was like, yeah, I got this one. Spider. And they were like, what? No, it's Tiger.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Marvel.
Yeah, no, I think it's, I love that they use William Blake's poem because, as an English major, we had to study William Blake. This poem shows up a lot. Because it's one of his most famous ones. And it's really about this idea of this creature, the tiger, which is beautiful, but yet also ferocious. And I think that's the whole idea with Kraven and the Spider-Man, right? It's that this idea of he's supposed to be like this fearsome creature in his eyes, but there's like a beauty. And that's what we kind of see later on in all of his talk, and this whole like contrast between nature and duality of nature and things like that. So it's a perfect poem. And clearly, DeMatteis knows his poems and knows how to use them effectively. I'll tell you that much.
What's going on, Chromax Presents? So much so that he fooled a kid into thinking that he wrote that himself.
They should have taught it to you at a younger age.
Yeah.
Your English teacher failed you when you were like 8.
Wait, I was probably in the 5th grade when this story was coming out. 5th or 6th. This is 1986, 87, so 4th grade.
Yeah.
Not to age myself, but
not at all.
Oh man, keep going. Y'all ladies are doing an awesome job.
Go ahead, Maddie.
I'm telling you.
Okay. So basically it's kind of like this kind of trap out for Spider-Man, right? So he's trying to create a situation where, he knows Spider-Man's got to like give Spider-Man the opportunity to take out Vermin once and for all. Almost to kind of prove that for Kraven, he wants to prove that Spider-Man is like a beast as well, because that's how he sees him, as this otherworldly, non-human, just actual spider, because that's how Kraven sees things. But he sees Spider-Man kind of not take the hit, right? He steps back for a second. He doesn't want to, even though he wants revenge, right? He doesn't want to take that fatal shot at Vermin. That's not what he does. That's not what Peter does. And in that moment, Kraven kind of gets this picture of what Peter actually is. He's at that moment he understands that he is a human, and he sees why Spider-Man's worth having, right? And what the importance for Spider-Man is, and kind of where his own failings were. And so at that moment, he lets Vermin free, and he lets Peter to go get him, but at the same time saying to Peter, "This is my last hunt. Like, I'm not doing any more hunts anymore. This is it. Like, I'm done. You're good. Go get him." Kind of. And then that's when things sort of take. Oh, wait, this is the fastest we've moved through anything.
Well, because there's not a ton of complex story to go on. It's all a lot of internal psychological stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. So as far as summarizing
which we
the
can
story,
break
there's
down.
not that much to say. But as far as our impressions, there's a lot more. But to finish it out, of course, Peter goes out to get Vermin, and then we see Kraven walk himself back to basically his own death, right? His own coffin. And ultimately takes his own life, because at that point he decided that's it for him, which we kind of alluded to in the beginning, and then he's saying all these things about his last hunt. It goes in a direction that it makes sense, but I mean it's poignant. Yeah,
he brings her up a lot, the fact that everyone called her insane. They bring that up quite a bit in this.
I mean, it's a dark story, like that. Just
the
panel layout of Mike Zeck, as he goes and picks up the gun, and one last time he looks at the portrait of his family. And then it's just,
Well, even the creature design of Vermin, or this scene, for instance, when Peter's in his own coming out of his tranquilized coma he's been in, and with the spider crawling out and the creature. I mean, this, for me, it's I don't remember Spider-Man being so dark, but I love it. And it's great because he can't be, all quipping all the time.
It's a dark story. I think that was my favorite thing.
Mm-hmm.
And well done. I mean, honestly, this whole story was very well organized. I felt like it showed what comics can really do in a short amount of time. I think so often we see stories that are long-winded and long for no reason without adding to anything.
Yeah.
And this, within 6 issues, they told a very poignant, very moving story, and did a good job of really fully developing every character in there. I feel like I really understood what each character was going through. And that's pretty profound. And I think that really shows when you have a talented writer and a storyboard layout and artist. I think you had a perfect combination here. It all really mattered to me. And again, that's not always easy to do with a superhero story contained in 6 issues.
No, I agree.
They did a great job.
I think it was really interesting to know that, how long the game was for Kraven. He had no idea that Peter Parker. I mean, that was the thing, right? He was testing him to see if he would come out of the grave. That's one of the most iconic images in a Spider-Man comic book, by the way. Let me see if I can find the page. But he wrote a confession, right? He was like, I was Spider-Man. I did all this. So when Spider-Man gets done defeating Vermin and takes him to Mr. Fantastic, the cops are like, "Hey, man, it's Spider-Man, the real one, not Kraven." And so Spider-Man's like, "How did those guys know that?" Kraven was?
Oh yeah, man, I stepped over that too. That was really cool.
I love that they're even.
So he's
even though all this has happened,
Go ahead, Matt.
No, I'm saying, and it's just funny how the cops are even though all this has happened, he still wants to help that poor creature and not kill him. After all has happened to Spider-Man and all Kraven and Vermin have done to him, he still just wants to help this creature. Wow, what a great guy.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. That that's how he found out that wait, something's going on. Kraven confessed and he's dead.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find the image. Yeah, so the cover, of course, is phenomenal. That's one of my favorite covers. Is him digging out of the grave. and then the actual coming out of the grave is Mike Zeck was just on point during these days.
I mean, there's just the way the panels are done, like conveying everything is so well thought out, and just every image. Yeah, this is a great story.
So it ends with Peter Parker going back to his bride, and she's like, "Oh, you're home," and he's like, "Yeah," and then they're Kraven's men are burying him. And this is the last we see of Kraven, because dead means dead in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, I know that's not true since I read ahead, or I didn't read ahead, but I had to.
To be fair, he stayed dead very many years. Very, very, very many.
Didn't he have some family members who tried to also go after Spider-Man after the fact?
Both of his kids. I think he has 3 sons, and then it turns out that he has a lot more sons. Get Kraven, which was a really funny series by Zimmerman. Oh man, that was early aughts. Thank you very much, Rick Nelson.
Yeah. Oh, hey Scott, another Spider-Man fan. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Scott, for the kind words. So I think this is probably one of the most important stories in Spider-Man's history, because it's not to say that the night Gwen died is not dark, or the death of Jean DeWolf is not dark, but this is probably one of the darkest times in Spider-Man's history. Being buried alive, and then having all that imagery of pretty much the breakdown of this guy, of Kraven, who's been a Spider-Man villain for decades before this.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how he goes from, he doesn't go from just wanting to defeat him. He at the end, he's like, wow, he finally sees the human in the spider and not just the spider within the Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
He even says that right before he, goes and offs himself. He realizes there is more to this man than meets the eye, which is so interesting.
There is a semi follow-up to this that I would love for us to read one day, because it's called Torment, and anybody that knows Torment knows, A, it is beautifully drawn by Todd McFarlane, and B, it is horribly written by Todd McFarlane. And I'm curious to see what you two would think of it, because even as a kid, I was like, wow, this is really, really bad writing. But Lloyd just reminded me of it because he says Calypso in the McFarlane Spider-Man. Yep, Calypso's the one that no, we'll read it one day. I'm curious to see if these ladies, that's 90s, and that's the beginning of Todd McFarlane's writing career, when he was like, look, I'm a Spider-Man artist, but I also got stories in my head. And he made his own comic book, adjectiveless Spider-Man. And it sold millions. Before X-Men #1 came out, it was the #1 best-selling comic book of all time.
That's awesome.
The storylines and the dialogue were just atrocious, and so bad. It hurt.
Yeah. Brian Wilson brought up a good point. This is something that I looked up afterwards, that you could tell this was intended to be a Batman story, because apparently this story kind of had been running in Dave Mateus's head for a while, and he was trying to do something similar in Batman, but they were like, they already had Killing Joke or something going on at the same time. Like, no, we already got something else going on. And
it works for Spider-Man. I mean, Spider-Man and Batman have probably the 2 biggest rogue galleries of any superhero out there. So it makes sense that if it didn't work for Batman, bring it over to Marvel and put him.
Yeah, because when you think of villains, it's either Batman villains or, for the most part, Spider-Man villains, with the exception of Lex Luthor for Superman, and stuff like that. They have the most iconic ones.
So, all right. So what did you think of is this your first time reading Kraven, Maddie? Not Kraven's Last Hunt, but the character of Kraven?
Yeah, I think my only I recognize him, but I'm not sure from where. And maybe, was he ever in the Spider-Man cartoon? Because that could have been the only place.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
He was.
So most of my up until the movies and whatever, my exposure to Spider-Man is all the cartoon. Because I would watch the cartoon, and then I would also play the PC game where you can make your own Spider-Man comics. And so you can use any of the villains.
I want that PC game. Where is that?
It was pretty silly.
But still.
But yeah, so I've seen him, and I recognize him without actually really knowing much about him. But he makes sense immediately. Like you can catch on the second you see this dude. Like, okay, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Oh, you look like you go on safaris. All right.
Yeah, he does.
He looks like he's all about hunting dudes, which is what he does. And I guess, like a lot of characters, you kind of run out of ideas about a guy that's hunting guys. And I'm not sure why they went with Kraven. I would love to know the behind the scenes behind that choice. Why Kraven?
Well, I know he was at the time. I think that DeMatteis found him. I was watching some stuff about this. I think he found him like in a Marvel encyclopedia and was like, he hadn't been used very often. And so he decided to build the character up to use him in this particular, I think something about him just kind of resonated with him as this hunter and this ultimate hunter, especially because Spider-Man, I think, and that's the whole story is about, right? This idea of how much of Spider-Man is the spider, if you will, and how much of him is still Peter Parker. Because he is different when he's Spider-Man versus Peter Parker. They kind of act different. Spider-Man's definitely a little bit more, I won't say outgoing. I would say like he's the one who does all the quips and stuff. Peter Parker is a little bit more shy, and you could definitely tell a big difference. And I think that is partly, it's about hunting the animal, and that's probably why you chose Kraven. Because I'm sure Doc Ock might have worked, maybe, or the Goblin, but they've been used so many times, right?
Well,
that maybe
he hadn't been used in a while. So I was always curious why him, because there's a lot of other goofy characters too that they could have used. Maybe they needed somebody serious. I've always loved this panel, by the way. I am the spider. Oh
yes, it's a great panel. There are a lot of great panels in this, actually.
I am the spider.
I am the spider. I'll tell you what, I would not want to see the vermin pop up out of a manhole in New York City for anything. That would terrify the shit out of me. That is.
I love when
he's a good creepy villain.
Yes.
Especially when you know that he eats people. I love this part too, that he lets the lady officer go, and you're like, oh my god, he's so gonna eat her.
Oh, it was so creepy when he licked her. He's like, but she reminded him of his mother, which was interesting. I was like, oh, okay, now we kind of get more about and that's a clever way.
He's a creation of what's his face, Baron Zemo. And,
yes, Zemo. Because he came in Captain America, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because through that you get a little bit of his backstory without it being explained in a long narrative block. We get a little bit of his backstory about who he might have been, where he might have come from, right? Because from that little piece.
It helps that DeMatteis created the character too.
That's true, yeah.
And I think Mike Zeck was even drawing Captain America at the time, so he knew how to draw vermin. So yeah, it helps to be familiar with the character.
Agreed.
Yeah, the art is wonderful. The story is dark. I love this as much as I did when I was a kid, and every time I read it. This is available in trade paperback format, in the Lux edition format, and in this wonderful Epic collection, which is my favorite way to collect it. Because in this collection you get some of the best Spider-Man stories, including one of my personal favorites, Wolverine versus Spider-Man.
Oh, where Spider-Man does something he doesn't intend to do, and you're just like, this is gonna haunt him forever. It's such a great.
It does. It does. And then you get the follow-up story in the Web of Spider-Man. You get the introduction of the Rose. There's so many things in this Epic collection, and then of course the wedding, the proposal and the wedding, and it's written by a bunch of people: Peter David, David Michelini, and of course J.M. DeMatteis. DeMatteis is what I used to call him.
Got a lot of names in there.
So I would definitely pick this up unless you're a huge fan of the artwork. Then get the oversized hardcover edition. Any other thing that you ladies want to add before we give it a final score? Did you like naked Kraven running around a lot? That was pretty good,
sure,
right?
Naked Kraven. Well, when you talk about the art, I think one of my favorite parts. Let me swing.
Dude, you know, a dude means business when he's fucking fighting
naked.
That's all I'm saying.
He is.
It reminds me of Tom Hardy and Bronson when he rips his clothes off to fight.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say except I really dug it. That was good. I mean, it was a
Definitely.
really good story, and it was really well written, and I love the art. I thought Kraven looked really cool. I thought they did a really good job using the shadow. Like, it just, the entire mood of the story
Yeah.
was very, what's the word? Very faithful throughout. You know, I think they
Yes.
did a really good job of connecting it throughout, and it felt nice and kind of creepy and dark, and I dug it. Good job.
Yeah. I really loved it. This is what I wanted to show. This is one of my favorite. It's when Peter, right before he comes out of the coffin, and he's in there, and he's having like his dream, psychotic, whatever. And it's Ned Leeds, which the one issue that he's talking about, we see Ned Leeds die previously, so you kind of know he already died. And you see him turn into a zombie. He's like, wait, am I dead? Oh, and he turns into a zombie, and Peter's like naked. And I was like, naked Peter, I'll take that. I'm okay with that.
I would say that was an interesting time in reading Spider-Man because that was Roger Stern's story, the Hobgoblin.
The Hobgoblin.
Right, and I'm sure most people know this, that story never wrapped up. Like, he never got to finish the story until this little gem right here came out. This is the only way that Roger Stern's Hobgoblin saga ends, and it's not collected in the Omnibus. This is Spider-Man Hobgoblin Lives. It was a mini-series, and here you finally find out who the identity of the Hobgoblin was. And this didn't come out until the 90s. So it was I want to say it was almost 10 years.
That's insane.
After Roger Stern wrote it. But anyway, we are way off topic. What would you ladies give this book? Give not the epic, but the Kraven's.
Just the Kraven story.
Yeah.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Maddie. What about you, Amanda?
10 out of 10. I loved it. I mean, that's not my bias.
Boy, you know.
Yeah, it's not my bias to naked Peter Parker or just in general Spider-Man, or the fact that I have been waiting to read the story because I have been doing research for my fan fiction where Kraven makes a prominent appearance.
Shameless plug.
No one needs to read my fan fiction about Spider-Man unless you go on Archive of Our Own and you would like to read it. It's called the Hunted series. Anyways,
there's a lot of dudes hooking up with other dudes.
A lot of dudes. No, that's not true. I don't know. It's him and MJ.
Don't do that. Okay. I would give this a 9.5 out of 10. I love this story. It holds up. To me, at least, it still holds up. It's one of the greatest Spider-Man stories. There's very little Spider-Man out there that is better than this. And I can't even think of any right now off the top of my head without having to really, really think about it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as, I mean, this has been my top 3 favorite Spider-Man stories of all time. It is phenomenal. It delivers every time. 9.5. Almost a 10. Almost. Oh, Scott gave it. Yeah, we'd love to know in the chat what
thanks, Scott. Yeah, we got a couple of 9s and 8s, 9.5s. Freddie, you gave it a 6.5. I'm curious of why you gave it a 6.5. Oh God, thank you, Cross 12787.
Is that a proposal?
Well, he's already got that. No, Rick Nelson, not one more day.
That gamer tag never helped him in Halo.
It never helped him in Halo. Thank you.
One more day might be. Yeah, we need to read some bad stories soon. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, Lloyd, that's pretty accurate. Naked Peter is like Faria with her bearded Chris.
Yeah.
Lord, yeah. Naked Kraven in this story, though.
Well, he's not bad.
He's not bad. So 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. There's a lot of 10s out there, or 110. I like to see that. That's cool.
210. Well, Colin's right. The Epic Collection is definitely a 10 out of 10. He said just crazy for a 9 out of 10. The whole Epic Collection as a whole is wonderful. I recommend anyone. You know, it gave me a chance to read some of these older Spider-Man stories because I've just been reading all the newer stuff, like since like Worldwide with Dan Slott's run and then the Nick Spencer run. So to get to go back and read these older, I know this isn't super old, right? I mean, this is what, 80?
86, 87.
Yeah, so it's not super old. I was like a year old when it came out, but you know, that's neither here nor there. Maddie probably wasn't born yet, so it's all good.
Maddie was not even a thought. 1986 to 1987, some of the best years of comic books ever.
Yeah. So it was really nice to read the whole Epic collection. I would recommend it to anyone, unless you do want that artwork. Then, but other than that, yeah, get that Epic collection.
Yeah, I'd love to know what everybody else like. If you rated this a 9 or an 8, what would you all think the best Spider-Man story is?
Yeah.
Let us know in the chat. I'm curious what you all think the best Spider-Man story is. Freddie said, I just found it okay. No particular reason. Not my favorite 80s Marvel I've read.
And I was curious, Freddie, what's your favorite 80s Marvel?
Yeah, that's why I kind of was asking. Well, I'm just curious what everybody's favorite Spider-Man story is.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like I said, this is in my top 3. Now, we do have some news while we wait for people to answer. Spider-Verse is good, right?
Yeah, that's one of them.
So, Maddie is going to be out of the country.
Yep.
You're going to China, right?
Yep. So we will be out for the next couple weeks.
Somebody kick Matthew out of the damn chat.
Yeah.
So we're taking a few weeks off, and I'll put something on Tuesday. I've had a couple of ideas for a live show, but when we come back on June 25th, we are going to be talking about this big motherfucking book.
Here we go.
Here we go, guys.
It's happening. It's happening. It's something that a lot of people have suggested for a year that we've been doing this. So we're finally going to talk about Infinite
I've had that
Crisis.
big ass omnibus for so long. And the week after, it's my pick for my birthday.
That's right.
She gets one pick a year, and this is it. It's Infinite Crisis.
No. That's not my pick.
I
get my pick for my birth week. Those are the rules.
What is your pick? I'm curious.
I haven't decided because it's. I have 3 options.
Red Hood and the Outlaws.
No, I have 3 options.
Okay.
One option, 52 pickup.
Oh gosh, I know.
52 issues. Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
No, we don't have to read all of it. We can just read 52 pickups. Not 52 issues. You just read.
Maddie, there are 52 weeks a year.
No, I'm talking about the Booster Gold story. Come on.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the 52 Omnibus.
No.
Okay. My bad.
Or I'm thinking maybe Outsiders because I really dug that, and I think I should probably choose a Roy Harper story. My other option is we never ever read any other graphic novels. I've done a lot of reading lately, books published by First Second, a lot of young adult graphic novels, and maybe it would be good to kind of get out of our usual and read something by Image or Boom. So I'm thinking, I haven't decided yet. Maybe some people in the chat have any recommendations. So we read a lot of the big 2, and we read a lot of the same, I don't know, books with the same audience in mind all the time. But we don't always branch from that, So I'm thinking maybe I should use my birthday to force us to read something else.
Okay. Force is a strong word. We're pretty amicable here. We can.
I don't know. I read a lot of books recently. I feel like that you guys would like, but I don't know. I'm thinking on it.
So me and Omar would be the new readers, and you'd be the old reader on this one.
Yeah.
The role reversal.
That was Red Sonja, right? That was the same thing with Red Sonja.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did that, and I enjoyed that. So you're going to choose Transformers, right?
No. No.
Wait, did Outsiders have Nightwing in it?
Yeah, of course. Yep.
Yeah, he's part of the crew.
I would love to read some Nightwing one day.
It's a really
the whole Grayson.
It's a really neat crew. I need to read Grayson too, but only because it's not your usual Outsiders crew either, and these are superheroes that you won't see again in anything else.
Oh, cool.
Which is neat, but also really sad because you're reading oh man, these guys are so cool. What is? Oh, okay. You just never again. All right, cool. So I'll think on it.
No love for Transformers. They haven't read any, so I don't know.
I'm open to it. I just I have some cosplayer friends that I follow that have gotten really into Transformers and the comics, but y'all, I don't know. Ooh, Freddie, I love the new Buffy. 100%.
I want to read that too.
It is so good. Dan Moore on the art, That is the epitome of how comics based on actual real life people should be drawn. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Rick was asking about kids collection. Rick, real quick, I don't know how old your children are, but one of our friends, Fariha, when we were at C2E2, recommended when her and I were shopping to buy this graphic novel called Ghost by Raina Telgemeier. And she has other ones too. And my daughter is 3.5, and we sat and I had to read the entire short little graphic novel to her. And it's like about this thick. And she loved it. And it's such a beautiful story about a girl and her family because they've moved because her sister has cystic fibrosis and this place has ghosts. And it's a really lovely story about life and death. But it's kid friendly, obviously, because my 3-year-old read it. So, yeah.
My oldest daughter and I were thinking about doing an episode because she reads a lot of graphic novels. She's read my entire Peanuts collection. And she wants to do a show where we talk about like a retrospect on the Peanuts over the decades.
Oh, awesome.
And she wants to talk about. Oh my goodness! Your kid is going to tear that door down. You want to go?
Yeah, hold on a second. I don't know. She probably went to the bathroom.
And we never saw Amanda again.
And let me know if she would like some more recommendations on graphic novels too.
I thought of you because she's got things like Smile and Sisters, but then she also, she's read Ultimate Spider-Man, but she's been reading Ultimate Spider-Man since she was 7 years old. So she's about the superhero life. And then when she turns 10, I told her she can read my IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Transformers.
Yeah.
She's been wanting to read Transformers for a long time because IDW Transformers, it's amazing what they're able to do. How they're able to take these, what probably most people think that have never seen an episode of Transformers, and they're not too far off, these goofy giant robots that transform into cars and planes and make them into just relatable characters.
Yeah.
One of the things that Dan and I talked about on our show, golly, that's probably been about 2 years ago, why you should be reading IDW Transformers, is so they have no genders. Right? The Transformers, all these years that you have it embedded in your head that Megatron and Optimus Prime are dudes because of their voice actors, right?
Yeah.
In the comic books, there are relationships between these robots because they're genderless.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like a homosexual relationship. It's just a genderless relationship where people are just drawn to somebody's soul, I guess. It's really cool. Way ahead of its time, I think. I explained it to Tina one time, and she said that sounds a lot like
Steven Universe.
Yeah, which she said. And I just found out something about the Steven Universe that I was really excited about. Apparently, she's a huge Whisper of the Heart.
We have to go.
Movie.
We're going.
I'm like, that's my favorite Studio Ghibli movie, so I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, because she's doing like a special opening for that, right?
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah. Because that's her favorite animated movie, and I'm like, that's my favorite.
Ooh, let's take Amanda. Amanda, have you seen Whisper of the Heart?
No, I've not.
Ooh, let's show Amanda some anime.
Okay, and as much as I love Brittany Snow and I have a mad crush on her, we have to watch it in Japanese because that is the only way to watch Whisper of the Heart.
That's fine.
Especially when you hear
That's good.
in Japanese because it's phenomenal. Whatever, it's gay robots and you know it, Omar. Damn it, you're right, it is gay robots. And I do love it. They're not gay, they're genderless.
Or maybe they're gay, you don't know. I think we should do an episode where we watch, you just compare Transformers and Steven Universe. I would love for you to watch Steven Universe because I think it'd be interesting to get like your point of view on it.
I could watch it. Is it anything like Deadwood? Because I'm rewatching Deadwood.
No.
He's so excited to rewatch that Deadwood.
I was like, I texted Amanda. I'm like, all right, I'm going to watch the Deadwood movie. And then I said, nope, I'm going to watch the last episode of season 3 to kind of just remind me what's going on. Then I said, fuck it, I'm watching the whole series over again. Then I'm watching the movie because I'm so excited.
Man, I just need to get you guys like back on that DC CW show train.
Oh,
is there anything
I'm a little afraid what's happening with them though. I mean, so Arrow ends next season, right?
Yeah, finally.
Will Flash be ending soon?
No. Everything else is continuing.
Just that one's ending.
Yeah, Black Lightning's still going, which is fantastic.
They're just starting Batwoman, so obviously it'd be
and she just showed up. Or well, I'm watching on Netflix, so like I just got to see her
you got to
show
that
up
part,
in the Elseworlds episode, which was great because you see what the actor who played Flash back in the day, back in his like
Wesley
OG suit, is so great.
Oh, John Wesley Shipp, yeah, that's awesome. Oh yeah, I remember. See, I did watch that because I don't know why I just skipped around. I was like, I'll watch this live. Might as well. It's the Elseworlds.
You'll get it. Okay, so I know we're doing a show, guys, but just deal with it. So when they do the Elseworlds episode,
yeah,
and I don't know if I guess beginning of the episode we go to Smallville, and they play the scene from the TV show.
They did. That's right. They did do that.
I was like, yes.
They just confirmed it exists in this weird. It's a multiverse. It exists there.
Oh God. It was so. I was like, that's the best.
Did Tom Welling show up on one? Not as Superman, but as another character recently.
No,
I thought he was going to show up as like a villain.
Maybe I could have forgotten. Oh,
I don't remember.
He will reportedly. He might appear in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh, okay. That's right.
Year.
But they're going to have later this year. Yeah.
Yeah, which we should watch live because it looks like they're building it. Well, this isn't meant for this. We can talk about it some other time. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. You're all like joining anyways. But Philip, yes.
I need to finish up.
I think we all have to finish Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol, and then I need to watch Swamp Thing because I haven't watched the first episode yet. I should. But I started the first episode of Swamp Thing, and it caught my interest. So, and I need to read Alan Moore's Swamp Thing because I feel like I would understand what's going on a little bit better. Well, you're in the right show.
Yeah. So
you are. There's an Absolute that's coming out later on this year, so maybe around that time we can read it.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, I really.
Whoa, we crossed 10,000 subscribers today. Yeah, thank you, Philip. We did. It's really nice and humbling.
It is very exciting, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We are just super stoked about it.
And don't forget, we have a live show on Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And we'll all be together, so we know it should work. We'll be in one room.
Well, Hangouts is back to working. Yeah, we had technical difficulties.
But clearly it's back, and we're all good.
So we will be doing a live show. It's the Ask Us Anything show. So, yes. Join us at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this Friday. The road to 1 million starts today. Yes, Psycho Cleveland. Good to see you, my friend.
That's awesome.
I'm glad I'm not the only one rewatching Deadwood, by the way.
If we hit 1 million subscribers, I could quit my job, maybe.
Yeah. Wait a minute. You're going to quit first, not me? You're going to make me keep working and do this on the side?
Do our social media full time.
Okay.
People hire those people.
So, Freddie, I have watched DuckTales season 1. I really loved it. Love the voice actors. Love the music. The animation took me a little bit to get used to, but it's cool. I dig it. I love the throwbacks to the old Carl Barks and Don Rosa comics and the original DuckTales cartoon. And I heard Jim Cummings has returned because he has been cleared of all things bad that was said about him. I don't want to get too much into it, but he's back as Darkwing Duck, so that's good. I am not being sponsored by
What?
I just love this shirt.
And he loves a good cold Coca-Cola once in a while.
Yeah, only when I mix it with rum. Oh wait, I'm not Amanda. Diet.
Yeah, whatever.
Diet.
Rum and Coke is great.
Not as good as cranberry juice and bourbon. Amanda, did you find somebody that has volume 2 of
No, not yet. No one has mentioned it. All they have mentioned is that it's a great series. I'll just get to assume volume 2 what happens and just move over it.
There was a Darkwing Duck controversy. That's going to be a separate episode. Psycho Cleveland, it's not announced yet. It's part of our Reels Talk controversies surrounding ducks that Amanda's had. She didn't know about until now.
Okay.
That's how I throw episode ideas at her.
Thank you. What about that Bedlam that Chromax is recommending several times?
Bedlam? Bedlam's solid. Yeah, so we're starting out to map out our month so you all can read along with us. And just in case you weren't here before, this is what we are going to be talking about because we're going to take a couple of week break. We will be back on June 25th, and we're going to talk about the Infinite Crisis Omnibus. Very excited to talk about this. I've read it twice before, and I want to read it a third time. So,
and I will be jet lagged, so it'll be very interesting to see how this.
You come back that day, or do you
no? I come back like at nighttime on the 23rd.
Oh boy, yeah.
I guess I go to work the next day, even though I've been working straight for 2 weeks.
You don't get to have a day off?
I don't really know.
Man.
We'll see.
Let's see. How much did I pay for this Chromax? This is the original printing. Maddie has the new one.
Oh, yeah.
I bought it in stock, so it was $75.
Mine was a present for me for my birthday.
That's a good present. And no, Colin, we haven't done Punisher Max. I'd like to do Punisher Welcome Back Frank first, and then we can move on to Frank to the Garth Ennis Max series. That would be really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, we love suggestions. If y'all want to throw suggestions at us, sometimes I forget. And we also want bad suggestions of bad stories. Somebody had mentioned Sins Past, I think in our few past episode.
I have a recommendation.
Or bad.
No. It's really good. It's an Eisner nominated book that I read today called Upgrade Soul.
Ooh.
I can't tell you anything about it. It would ruin it. This book effed me up real bad. It's really, really good. But like, I think I'm going to be thinking about this book for a long time. And everybody in the chat's read it. Don't say anything about it. Like, you can say if you've read it, but don't say anything about it in the chat.
Upgrade Soul. Got it.
Yeah, it's really good.
Chromax is Sassy Bueno.
How the hell am I supposed to know that, man?
Thank you for letting us know right at the end of the segment. We appreciate it.
These are so many awesome questions I want to answer. So first of all, Psycho Cleveland, that took you a long time to come up with quacking contention.
But Patacon's trying to start some shit in this chat.
Yeah, he is.
Let's see what else is there. There was another question. So June 12th is the supposed date for the reprint of Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 1. I know people have been waiting on that for a while. Usually when reprints like that are announced, they give you a month and that's it. But it's supposed to be June 12th. I know they don't have it at in-stock trades for pre-order or anything. I think it's literally going to drop, and they're going to find out about it like a couple of days before it drops. Kind of like Berserk, the reprint that just went live again today. So let's see. Have you guys read March Trilogy by John Lewis? I haven't.
No, it's been on my list. Everyone's
but I've wanted to. Yeah, it looks really good. Read Torment. Let's give it some time. Let's see.
Do we prefer Tom King or Rob Liefeld?
Ooh. Now I like Rob Liefeld, so I like
Rob Liefeld.
He's not a writer. He's the co-creator of Deadpool.
Oh, that's right. He's Deadpool.
He is. Right. He's an artist. He's known as the No Feet 100 Pouches artist, but that's just the thing the cool kids say these days. I guess it became really cool to hate Rob Liefeld one year. I don't remember when this happened. Tom King is hit and miss. I couldn't join Maddie's amazing chat this past Saturday, but she really did a good job breaking it down and express a lot of how most of us feel. And sadly, Tom King isn't the only writer that does things like this, where he takes beloved characters that you hold so near and dear to you and just doesn't know what to do with them or how to write them. But it's because he's such a good writer that you expect better.
Yeah. Yeah, right after Lee read Irredeemable and messaged me, he's like, what the hell is Tom King doing? When this is how you write this kind of story. Like, Mark would have this down on pat.
Bendis. Philip Evans.
We're gonna have to read some Bendis eventually, Omar. You're just gonna have to accept it.
I'm okay reading Bendis. I'm open-minded. You read my Gay Robots, I'll read Bendis.
Okay.
I'm really afraid I'm gonna end up liking Bendis, and I'm gonna make you mad.
Okay. Dark Phoenix Saga happened, remember?
Yeah, you bitches broke my heart that day. I'm glad I was drunk that night, so I didn't have to take it sober. Jesus. What did you all give it? I need to go back and watch that.
don't think too hard
Yeah,
on it.
I'm gonna let you all read his Guardians of the Galaxy after we do the damn Cosmic Saga. Then you're gonna be like, man, this isn't good at all. He destroyed everything within the span of 2 pages. And I'm gonna be like, yeah, see?
That's why you hate him.
Hold on, there was a question. Fabian Nicieza is Argentinian. So Deadpool is half Latino. Because Fabian Nicieza is the voice of Deadpool. And I love that man. So yes, I agree with that statement. I love Rob. I like Rob Liefeld's art, but I love Fabian Nicieza's writing more.
Yeah.
And he is not due the credit that he rightly deserves. Even Liefeld himself has made some stupid statements like, "Oh, I could have gotten even the janitor to write Deadpool. Anybody could have written Deadpool. I just chose so Fabian got lucky that I chose him."
Wow.
Deadpool wouldn't be the Merc with a mouth without the mouth, and that is Fabian Nicieza.
Yes, that's true. Weekend Geekdom had said we should do Fables Volume 1.
I love Fables. I'd love to reread it.
I love Fables as well. I'd love to.
I know people have their problems with it, but I don't care.
Omar bought it for me for Christmas, like before I read comics, because he knew I liked Once Upon a Time, and he's
that was my first comic.
Was it really?
I read all of Fables.
He said
no other comics.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. I should like it, right? Because I loved Once Upon a Time until it got kind of like, they said school buddy,
Is there some kind of trade deal going on right now between Amanda and Lloyd Wong? Like, I sent Lloyd a book. That's not the way it works, Lloyd. I sent
you. He's gonna send me Northlanders Volume 2. He has it.
Son of a bitch.
Send it to your mailing address. So just expect it in your mailbox.
How does this work out for me?
That doesn't, but it works out for me.
Okay. Huh.
And I complete this collection.
Yay.
Yay.
Okay, so let's see. Secret Invasions was like 3 Flash movies with Ezra Miller. I'm a little lost.
We don't have an Ezra Miller.
We could read Saga now that like. I just got Volume 3 in today because I forgot I pre-ordered it.
I did too.
So
I can't save everyone. No, I can't.
Colin Spire had said Donny Cates stuff, which we did God Country, but
we did Town and Country. We did Town and Country.
No, God Country, but we could definitely do.
Yeah, we can come back with a bang and do Saga. I have a feeling that this might take up most of our time while we're gone, and we're still going to do reviews in a flash, and Maddie's going to be dumping reviews in a flash. Those segments are really quick and
sporadically.
We all enjoy doing it, and I think most people like to find out about new things. So I'm very excited to see what you two ladies think about this wonderful story that I think is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, DC crossover event ever.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
Me too.
Paracon Secret Invasion was bad. That's because Bendis wrote it. Oops. Omar, where should I start reading Fantastic Four X-Men? Whatever's available in print. So X-Men, go with Uncanny X-Men Volume 1 by Chris Claremont and John Byrne and Dave Cockrum. The Omnibus. Or you can try to get the Epic Collections. I think that one's still in print. It's called Second Genesis, I think. And then Fantastic Four, there's a few places that I recommend. You can't go wrong with the original Stan Lee and Jack Kirby run. But John Byrne's is solid. My favorite run is Mark Waid. That's probably the best run of Fantastic Four that I've read. People seem to like Hickman, but that stuff is out of print, and I think the only ones available are the trade paperbacks right now.
Yes, or the ones sitting in behind my shelf.
Yes. And I'm also a fan of Walter Simonson's run and Tom DeFalco's run. That stuff hasn't been properly collected, though. They're trying to do a good job with the Epic run. I would stay away from Matt Fraction's run because it's pretty horrible.
I've heard that.
I'm not the biggest Matt Fraction guy either. I know a lot of people like him. He's had a lot more misses than hits. But yeah, that's where I would go.
We all semi-enjoyed Hawkeye.
Yeah, I had to forget who these characters were in order for me to enjoy Hawkeye. I was like, okay, this is not Natasha. This is not Mockingbird. These are two women that look like them but don't act like them. Will there be a Wednesday show like Hickman X-Men comes out? Yes, there will, because I'm going to force these two ladies to read.
Just like how we're doing War of the Realms, yeah.
Yep, and that wraps up I think when Maddie comes back.
It does because I think one issue comes out this week. No, next week.
Yeah, just wait for me till we get back.
Yeah, we will,
Oh, of
and
course.
we'll finish it
I'm
up.
not gonna do this without you.
And I may call upon you too, depending on how DC Leviathan goes. There's a theory about it.
Ooh,
that involves my boy, and maybe it's just wishful thinking. But
might be coming back.
Bad guy. Maybe he's Leviathan. So whatever.
Oh.
Whatever, DC. Thanks, Tom King. Fuck you.
Need I remind everybody of Rick Grayson?
Yo, Rick, why?
Tom King hates everything I love.
Psycho Cleveland, 100% with Omar. Thank you, my friend. That's why I got you, man. I knew it. This will be the first X-Men I read since Astonishing. Well, you haven't missed much. Let's see. You missed about 10 years of shitty storytelling. And some hits here and there. That's about it, really. Nothing's... X-Men is just... It's hard to enjoy X-Men sometimes. So I'm okay with this clean slate that I don't know what Hickman's saying. He says that it's not an alternate reality. It's not a future or a time-traveling story. So I have no idea who these characters are. This is going to be fun. I did like X-Men Red. That was good. That was Tom Taylor, who also wrote All New Wolverine, who is now heading this new series at DC. Deceased? Is that what it's called? DC?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I like his writing a lot. So I want to check that
Jean
out.
Grey. I like the other X-Men colors books. Blue. I like that one.
Okay.
I know you don't, but
no, it's okay. You can be wrong.
But I don't have that journey with X-Men you do. So like I just read stuff that's on my tablet and then random stuff. I love young Jean Grey because I hated old Jean Grey.
That was it. Yeah, you were like, I like young Jean Grey. I can't even finish that statement. And I was like, what more than the Dark Phoenix saga?
Well, it's because of X-Men Evolution. It's because of how she's portrayed in that. That's what started it for me.
Like I can't wait to dive into some of these X titles. I remember a friend of the show, Tyler Chu, said, I don't choose enough X titles for you two ladies. But I was
don't though.
But there's so many comics that we need to go through. Everything we can't do. We only have 4 weeks.
Well, let's read Wolverine the X-Men. And we don't always have to do every week either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if we need to take a break in between to do a bigger read, there's nothing wrong with that.
So we have you saying X-Men Evolution. Like I can't wait for you to read X-Men X-Force, the Colin Yost series.
Yeah.
Or NYX, where she's kind of introduced, and then X-23.
Yeah, my girl. We should be reviewing All New Wolverine.
That leads in. Well, that series got canceled.
I don't care. I love it, and we should. It's like one of the best series.
All New Wolverine ended, and then it became X-23 when Wolverine came back, and then that series just got canceled. X-23, and I was really digging that. The Mariko.
Is she writing that?
Yeah, it was good.
Oh man, I love her. I picked up her new book. Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up with Me.
I didn't like what she did with Honey Badger and giving her a new code name, but whatever.
Yeah,
I like Honey Badger. Yes, and then all that stuff that Colin Yost did, like during the Messiah Complex and the Messiah War Trilogy, is what it is. That stuff is all awesome, and all that leads into Uncanny X-Force by Rick Remender, which is probably some of the best X-Men ever written. But we'll get there. Patacon says X-Men Evolution was worse than the Flintstones. but here's the thing, though. He also could love the Flintstones a fucking lot.
He could. Without doubt.
Flintstones, X-Men Evolution,
Fred and Wilma might be his jam.
Yeah.
It's definitely not for everybody. It's perfect for my age range because it came out and then I read all the fan fiction for X-Men Evolution. I mean, just all of it. Like, I would not know as much about X-Men if it were not for that show. Well, and the other cartoon, of course, but like definitely X-Men Evolution.
That's where Laura first appeared. Like that's the origin of X-23. She came from the cartoon, and because Kyle and Yost were writing comic books that came to comics, they brought her over. Now, what Kyle and Yost are ever going to come back and do comic books? Hell no. They just wrote Thor Ragnarok, so they are never coming back and writing comic books. because they're now in the Screenwriters Guild. Because everybody's like, oh, they should come back and do another X-Force book.
They probably won't.
No. X-Men Evolution was worse than The Godfather 2. Now that I can agree with.
Yeah.
Godfather 2 is amazing. Nobody ever says Godfather 3. I love the Jetsons. Okay.
I love the Jetsons too.
So here's a secret, Patacon. The Jetsons are just the future Flintstones. It's the same goddamn cartoon. Now, let's see how much more time we got.
I think it's about time.
It's 9 o'clock.
I want to go play some Chrono Cross before bed, so
I got to read some comics and give a baby a bath. Hanna-Barbera is a classic, and I have to go on YouTube to find their it's some late 80s Christmas sing-along video because I loved it so much as a kid, and so I wanted my daughter to watch it, so I had to find someone who had somehow recorded it and put it on YouTube just to watch it because Hanna-Barbera is awesome.
They used to come on Boomerang, right? Is that still a thing?
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't know. I don't have cable.
Yeah, I haven't had cable since 2006. That's why I was hoping that somebody would ask.
Yeah.
All right. So while you're still in the chat, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Right now, smash that like button.
Yep.
Please. And don't forget that we are coming back on June 25th to talk about. So we're taking a couple of weeks off. Like I said, I may do a Tuesday live show next Tuesday. Talk about some comic book stuff. But we are talking about Infinite Crisis, the Omnibus. And if you don't know what's collected in this Omnibus, we can put that on our social media too, just in case.
Yes, that sounds great.
You get trade paperbacks. Thank you very much, Batsy. You will always be Batsy. Chromax
you
presents.
So I'm curious why you changed your name. And Rick, yes, that's exactly my prediction as well for the DC Universe app and the WB streaming app. Whenever it comes about, I think all of those shows will move over there.
Okay, so Rick is saying Boomerang is still a thing, but only on streaming devices. Okay, so yes, it is pirating those episodes for us then. If you're into pirating. Okay, now the Amazing Amanda. You know what? By the time Maddie comes back, she should have her own name. I'm the Uncanny Omar. This is the Amazing Amanda. Maddie should have something. I've heard Marvelous Maddie.
I used to just be called Wonder Maddie. Used to be.
Oh,
comic book friends called me.
Okay. I like that.
You know,
it makes sense because
natural. It just has to.
Yeah. Well, I liked Amazing because the Amazing Spider-Man. He's uncanny because he's an X-Men guy. So that would make sense.
I'm a pretty peculiar guy too.
And you're also
no, comic intellect. We're not saying only old people have cable. Just 90.
We're just saying we don't have cable.
Yeah, we don't have cable. I don't even have Netflix. I just borrow my family's Netflix and HBO. Don't you roll your eyes? Don't you roll your eyes?
Because I know whenever my Chernobyl, I'm like, I gotta restart it. Why am I restarting it? Oh, I know, because Omar's watching it right now.
Hey.
I know my brother-in-law's not watching it. So
how many comic books have I given you? We're good. All right. So, Amazing Amanda, will you please do us the honor to sign this off?
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell for notification of more great Near Mint Condition content. Remember to follow us on all of our social media channels at Near Mint Con. Check us out our Patreon. If you want to support our channel, the link is in the description, just like our link for our t-shirts on Redbubble. So check those out as well. And last but not least, guys, if it's classy and cool, it must be Near Mint. Have a good evening.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.